We've all been very focused on how to stay healthy these days, but we've not been talking about hydration. If you get coronavirus, flu, or even experience allergies, cold, a variety of everyday ailments, they all need hydration. And that's why it's a perfect time to welcome our friends at Hydrolyte back. This is a great product. You all know I've talked about it for a long time. This was the hydration product I wanted to invent, and they got it there before me. Now, remember, dehydration can make you feel sick, even a slight amount, and none of us need that anxiety right now. So stay well hydrated. I am thrilled to welcome our good friends at Hydrolyte back to the show. Longtime fans remember my obsession with Hydrolyte, which is literally the best hydration product I have found. I'm even more excited to introduce their brand new single-serve powder sticks. Simply pour one powder stick into a glass of water. They recommend 7 ounces. The powder dissolves instantly and creates the perfect balance of sodium, glucose, and water to deliver up to 4 times the electrolytes of your typical sports drink. And think about it, you can take this anywhere. You should have it on hand to just pour it into water, and you have a real significant hydration product. The other great news about Hydrolyte, the powder sticks, they are 100% natural, no artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners, and they are available in flavors like orange and lemonade, and they taste great. Hydration is crucial. Hydrolyte is the fastest and easiest way to stay ahead of it. And you can find Hydrolyte powder sticks in the digestive aisle at Walgreens or Amazon, or simply just go to my website, drdrew.com/Hydrolyte. Again, that is drdrew.com/HYDRALYTE. You see it spelled here. There it is. And you enter the code DRDrew18 to save 30% off your order. Forget the runs on toilet paper. There should be runs on this. This is doing much more for your health than toilet paper. So go get some, have it on hand. If anybody in your family gets sick, you need to keep them hydrated, and that's how you do it.
Hey everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew.
Hey everybody, welcome. We're seeing you pile on in here. Chance to answer some questions should you have them. Can someone get reinfected if they get the virus? Not typically. We think really what that is a recurrence rather than a reinfection. There are some people that will persist with viral shedding for a month or so, and those are the people that are high risk for recurrence. Let's see. I must tell you, the data on chloroquine is looking really good. That should change everyone's attitude about this whole outbreak. You're going to hear more and more of people. Mr. President Trump referred to a guy that was dying who got put on chloroquine and recovered very quickly. You're also going to hear people getting it early in the infection and thus not needing hospitalization. That's what's going to turn this thing around, which is that the chloroquine is going to prevent the hydroxychloroquine, Plaquenil, whatever you want. It's going to prevent the complications. So people will not need hospitalization. They will not get the pneumonias. They'll get some, but they won't get ARDS. They won't get the dreaded complication that's resulting in all the ventilator dependencies. So it's going to be an interesting week. Numbers will go up. The curve is flattening in some areas of the country. It seems to be in California. We seem to be like not having any kind of acceleration. New York City is having a problem. And I believe most of that, I was thinking about why New York is having such a difficult issue. And I started thinking no one paid attention to elevators. No one paid attention to the housing developments up in the north part of the island, which are hallways that are this wide across, elevators that are this wide across, no ventilation, people going in and out of these elevators and coughing in them. Elevator closes back up. There's belief that an aerosol could last for 2 hours. So those elevators are essentially infection boxes for, say, 2 hours afterwards. I think that's why the virus has been circulating so much in New York City, and no one gave any thought to this. It's really kind of stunning to me. So we're going to have to all take a look at how we use elevators. I would say if you're in a tall building, if you can possibly use stairs now, because the elevator should be of grave concern to everybody. And then if you have any questions at all, your household exposure, of course, you might talk to your doctor about getting chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine. There are some people that seem to be using it prophylactically to some benefit. But again, we don't have the studies for it yet. Dr. Oz is airing an interview with a French researcher, I think this afternoon, if not then tomorrow. And he is saying that it has been so effective in France that it's unethical to do these studies. Really, what we have to do is look at combination therapies and other kinds of therapies alongside of the hydroxychloroquine, because it itself has been so effective. Yeah, where was Fauci today? I wondered that myself. I found that kind of curious, but Birx was there, and she was talking about the epidemiology, so that's fine. Let's see. Yeah, we could all use the stairs anyway. Can breathing treatments make you worse? I don't know about that. I don't see how albuterol can make things worse, but almost anything affecting the lung right now seems to be a problem. So cannabis, vaping, tobacco, all of it seems to be questionable. And again, don't believe the craziness in the press. Stop letting them alarm you. Look at the facts, as I say over and over, and have for a month. Listen to the CDC, listen to Anthony Fauci, let them be and he be your North Star. Do what they tell you to do, not less, not more, and that's it. And we will be fine. That is their job to keep us well, and they will do that. Has the virus mutated? No, it does not seem to be. And if anything, it would start kind of slowing down around this time of year. So we'll see. Weed cures corona. No evidence of that. I wish. Wouldn't that be great? Are there any tick-borne diseases that might help? I don't know what you're saying there. There's certainly tick-borne diseases are not fun to get. They are devastating, in fact. We also, I don't know why albuterol will make it worse. Solumedrol clearly works with the ARDS, as well as the positive pressure associated with mechanical ventilation. Let's see. Are the airports operational? Yep. Interesting question by Brian. Are we doing the right thing by overreacting? It's not wrong, right? I mean, the question is how many people's lives do you destroy with destroying their economic situation? And can you minimize that at the same time as optimizing the response? That's the really hard part here. And that's the part I've been complaining about, that panic is the worst thing you can possibly do in the face of all this. And a press that is generating panic is affecting people's judgment. And that's not what we need. We need careful judgment right now. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sure your depression is getting worse. That's one of the things that the Chinese showed, is that in the quarantine, there was a lot of depression. Good. In Mexico, only 300 official cases. That's interesting. Let's see. I'm still looking at the questions you guys are sending. How can we listen to Fauci if Trump is contradicting him? Fauci came out this morning and said very clearly we are in agreement. So I don't know where the contradiction is. It's all rhetorical styles. Listen to Fauci. That's it. Listen to Fauci. And Birx today was pretty clear too. Now, she brought up something really interesting. She was saying that we should be looking at every locality as its own epidemiology curve, which I thought was a great thing to point out, because we are such a huge country. It's not like Northern Italy, where it's all one sort of region. We are all thousands of different regions, and we are going to manifest this outbreak differently in different areas. It seems that Southern California is doing very, very well right now. Very, very well. By the same token, at the same time, New York is not doing well, and they're going to have a tough week. But it will plateau towards the end of the week, and particularly we'll be able to see in New York the benefits of things like the hydroxychloroquine. So that will be very interesting. I don't know if you guys are watching Governor Cuomo, but he's doing an amazing job in New York to keep people focused, take care of business, prepare for the worst case scenario, and keep everybody calm. He's really done a nice job. And his relative at CNN, Chris Cuomo, has done the same thing. He's done a very good job of turning from somebody who was only looking at the negative, only stirring up panic, and just said, you know what, that's not helping. I'm gonna start reporting on the things to look forward to and how we're doing this right as opposed to where we're doing this wrong. And I will say it again. No country on earth is able to flex and innovate in their healthcare better than the United States. And so you're going to see all the measurements of where the U.S. healthcare system ranks relative to other countries. None of it takes into account something like this. And you're going to see, I have faith in my peers and my hospital systems and what they can pull off. You're going to see how we do it. Okay. I said if we run to 60,000 by next Friday, we're in good shape. I think we'll be much higher based on the increases. Do you agree? I think we'll be higher than 60,000. I don't know, much higher than 60,000. Early on, I was saying 100,000 would be good. I'd rather not be 100,000. I think we could be at 60, 70,000 at the end of the week. We're only at 43,000 now with about a 4-day doubling rate. So maybe 80,000 by the end of the week, right? That's 4 days from now. And we are doing more testing. We will be doing more testing as we go forward. So yeah, if we're at 80,000, it's not the 60 I was hoping for, but 80 would be okay compared to the 60 million that was predicted. 60 million compared to 60,000. That's 3 orders of magnitude off. So I think we'd be doing okay, particularly the rate of increase of infectivity is leveling off. Let's see. Why can't we increase capacity to match the peak? I'm not sure I know what you mean by that. Trump is saying open the country sooner. As I've said from the beginning, the opening up of the country and returning people back to work is going to be the really challenging part of all this. Because how do you do it in such a way as you don't crash the economy, don't ruin people's lives, don't cause civil unrest, and don't get people sick again? So I think you're going to see people getting their temperature taken wherever they go. I think that's one of the things. I also think you're going to see 60-year-olds and above still on sort of a self-quarantine of some type. And you're going to see young people returning to work in about 2 weeks, I suspect. Because again, you have to factor in the effects of the chloroquine. Chloroquine is not going to change the attack rate. So it'll be continued to increase. What it's going to change is the hospital admission rate, which is at about 13% right now. And when that drops markedly, then the whole thing goes away. Remember, the whole purpose of this was not to make sure no one got sick. It was to make sure we didn't exceed the capacity of the healthcare system. If that drops down to 5%, we're done. We got this thing in control. But we'll see. We'll see. Does stress destroy the immune system? Well, chronic stress does. People are advocating things like exercise and cold showers. There's the old Wim Hof method of breathing and submerging yourself in cold. If you have health problems, do not do that. But some people are saying that might be a way to do that, to enhance immune function. But if you get exposed to a large inoculant, you are getting this thing. That's it. That's the way it goes. That's why we wear the mask, to limit that inoculation exposure. Let's see. I'm trying to read your questions. What's the duration of the virus in a person? Depends on whether you get any complications, that sort of thing. It's 3 to 21 days, right? Some people are asymptomatic. Some people have a 3-day thing. I think 7 days is a pretty average duration of illness, with some weakness and tiredness following that. I have some N95 masks. Can I wash them considering there's a shortage? Really good question, Lawrence. I think Scott Adams was talking about this morning. I was talking to a manufacturer of masks, and he was saying you could spray Lysol on both sides, hang it out for 2 days, and then reuse it. So that's an interesting way to reuse the masks and manage the shortage. Let's see. The dose needed for chloroquine is always too high because it does not help with the main entry point. What are you saying? I mean, you're saying that, I know what you're saying. The dose needed for chloroquine is always too high because it does not help with the main entry point. On the contrary, it does specifically interfere with the pH-dependent entry into the lung tissue in the doses of hydroxychloroquine, which is about 5 times more powerful than chloroquine. In the doses we are prescribing, it does interfere with the entry point. So that is false. It also interferes with the replication process in multiple ways. So that has been well proven. There's good articles out there. In fact, I tweeted one that was sort of appropriate for lay people on the mechanism of action for how hydroxychloroquine works. Give me 1 second. Okay. So I'm just getting a note that we're going to be doing Fox 11 from home starting tomorrow. All right, fair enough. That's fine with me.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah. So we'll do that. So we're doing
Maybe they'll be able to set up the actual camera from this.
Well, and to be fair, Oz did it from home the other day too. We were working with him, so that worked out just fine. Let's see. Socket souffle could cure it. Thank you, your mom's house fans. Very nice. This drug, the drug is not preventing replication so much as the ribosome binding to so the protein packet can be built around the nucleic acids. And I think it has some interference with nucleic acid entry into the cell and into the nucleus.
Everybody, you're going to be on Larry King's show on Wednesday.
Yes, Larry King's show on Wednesday, and we'll continue to...
The political one.
What's it called?
I think it's called Politico or something like that.
Politic-King or something, maybe something like that. Corolla was with us yesterday. That is now up as a podcast and as a YouTube. You can look at that. Yes, huffing Lysol is not good for you. Thank you for pointing that out. I agree with that completely. See what else. Why are people in Nigeria saying this medicine is poisoning them? That is fake news for sure. I have used Plaquenil for 30 years. Most of the patients that I prescribed Plaquenil to were on it indefinitely, meaning years at a time, because they were taking it for dermatomyositis, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and the only side effect we ever worried about was corneal deposits. Now, these are somewhat higher doses we are taking here for antiviral effects, but not massively higher doses. So do I feel like the media has calmed down? I think they have a little bit, perhaps. Perhaps they have. I'm sure they'll go crazy again.
Asking about the homeless.
Yeah, the homeless thing is a disaster, and I'm giving our government here in California a few days to give them a chance to get up and running with some of the policies. They've declared a disaster, or they've asked for a disaster, which is exactly what Reverend Andy Bales has asked for years. And in the setting of disaster status, we can push aside all the regulations that have been preventing us from building residential facilities and from moving people into facilities. He has found out that just giving people facilities does not get them into facilities. They're all finding reasons they don't want to go. Some of them are legitimate. Like I'm worried if I go into a recreational center, I'm going to get exposed to respiratory illness. That is a legitimate concern. But there are many thousands of other facilities out there that are being advocated for young people, and they won't, for homeless people, and they won't go. They won't go because they have a condition called anosognosia, which is part of the denial associated with the decompensation of the mental illnesses that land you on the street, and you have to take people to treatment with that. And they're fine when you put them in treatment. They're quite happy, believe me. No, lysergic acid does not help. LSD does not help. Okay, how do you know if you've already had it? You don't know, but there is an antibody test coming. I believe the South Korean test everyone keeps talking about is something that will be helpful for this. And it is an IgM and IgG test. Interpreting it is going to be a little bit difficult, at least from what I can tell. I have no experience using it as of yet. But the tests that are specifically available now are the polymerase chain reactions, which take the RNA and amplify it so we can actually see the virus. But this is an antibody test, and it's a 20-minute turnaround test, too. It's going to be very interesting. It's a blood test if it becomes available. Somebody's mentioning that vitamin D is helpful. That is absolutely true. Vitamin D might be helpful in your immune system. That is a reasonable thing to do. Zinc might be helpful as well. Any news on how it affects children? I don't know if you noticed that Dr. Birx mentioned that at the podium today at the White House, and she said 1% of those infected are children. 99% are in risk categories. So you can kind of relax about that one. That's one of the good pieces of news about this virus. I wonder if I'm going to start... Susie, want to start blocking trolls? There's some interesting things and destructive things being said. I think this is not the time for that. This is the time for us all to get together and start working on the solution. As I said, the tough putt is going to be... Point them
out to me.
The tough putt is going to be getting back to work. It's going to be back to work is going to be challenging. How we keep that safe. I think temperature taking, I'm going to bring out a scanner that takes temperature so you can see how that all is available. Let's see. Should we avoid ibuprofen? I've heard that rumor. I've not heard it substantiated, but I've heard the rumor. So I would say until otherwise notified, Tylenol is fine unless you're an alcoholic. Then it could be rough on the liver. Otherwise, you're fine. For nurses traveling to work, yeah, it is rough, man. You may have to take buses and fly and all kinds of things. And masks, I think masks are a good idea. If you're in an exposure environment, I think the hydroxychloroquine, talk to people about prophylaxis. I have no evidence upon which to say that yet, but I know people are doing it. So you might talk to your peers about that. Let's see. How much virus load do you need to get sick? Nobody knows the answer to that. It's a good question, though. But my suspicion is, given that surfaces do not seem a main means of transmission, it's mostly somebody, coughing in and around you. It's probably somebody who is, this virus is highly concentrated in our system it's one of the reasons it's so damaging is billions of particles are produced. Millions get out of us, and that's a big dose in itself. What about the Chinese scientists cracked the viral code? How do we know it's true to use for the vaccine? No, there's no mystery about the viral nucleic acid code. That is just a fact. It's an RNA code, and it's been reproduced many, 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 many times. Question is, though, how do you make a vaccine that is safe, that doesn't cause untoward side effect? What's the dose of the vaccine, and how do you make sure it's efficacious? That's what takes time. Are Crohn's patients in remission at higher risk? Not, well, if you're in remission because you're taking something like Remicade or Humira, yes, you are at higher risk. Then you got to be very careful. Reduce alcohol intake? Yes. Tobacco, vaping, anything you're putting in your lungs? Yes, you should stop that. I agree with that. What are the first symptoms? Well, typically the first symptoms is cough, chills, fever, myalgias, weakness, headache, but some people it's diarrhea and vomiting. It can be, very, very protein kinds of initial manifestations. That's one of the tricky things we're finding about this infection. It can present in all kinds of different ways. It can look like different things.
Could you talk about pregnancy?
Pregnancy has been highly studied, and pregnant women apparently do pretty well with this thing. It does not get through to the baby, and it does not infect the baby, but we don't know whether the illness during pregnancy could have any effect on the baby long term. That, of course, would be years before we know that for sure. So we still want to be very, very, very careful with pregnant women. Michael, that's an interesting way to deal with the mask. I think that probably would work. He's using Clorox and water to soak the masks and hang out in the sun for a day. My expert who manufactures masks told me Lysol on both sides and out for 2 days. So, what's that? What are you saying?
That's cute. That's interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it? We're in the face of all these mask shortages.
You need to get the masks first.
Well, in the face of these shortages, that's the point. People need to really start paying attention to reusing them. Is it true that high temperatures kill the virus? Viruses are, they are ecological organisms in the sense that they live in an ecological niche, and part of that is cooler temperatures, drier temperatures. So as the temperatures heat up and the humidity goes up, the virus is less evident. It doesn't like it. Breathing exercises couldn't hurt. And any exercise is actually a good idea. Can you get the virus in any other way than through your mouth, nose, and feces? Well, again, the interesting thing to me is that they're showing that bandanas over your face are helpful in reducing transmission. Obviously not if you're in a specific risk environment. If you have somebody with high acuity and there's lots of people sick, you don't use a bandana. But sort of in the household context, they've had some reports of people using the bandana. Here we go. Here's a good block for you guys.
Which one?
I got it. Taken
but
care
it
of.
only blocks it on Restream.
Well, too late. Blocked them.
Was it on Periscope? Because those are hard to block.
It was YouTube.
Okay.
So I was in the bandana. The bandana, to my estimation, it's not so much about preventing viral particles from being exchanged. It's not, your hands don't go to your face when you have a bandana on. Think about that. If you have bandana on, you're not wiping your nose, you're not putting your fingers in your mouth. So I have a feeling bandanas are a way of keeping our hands away from us. Okay. How long do I see us going on like this? I think we'll start seeing people go back to work the end of next week in certain areas. Again, it depends on the epidemiological curve in your region. But sort of the large-scale lockdowns, New York will still be locked down, I suspect, but other areas may start to work. And New York, even Cuomo said he was going to try to get people back soon, and I think that could be an interesting thing. Doesn't a spontaneous pneumothorax a year ago increase my risk? A 19 non-smoker? No, it does not. After you've completed the pneumothorax, your lungs should be normal. The only issue would be there's a certain percentage of recurrence of pneumothorax once you've had something like that, so you might talk to your pulmonologist or chest surgeon about that. Can antibodies be transferred? Yeah, it can. There is some evidence of that, and people are working on those kinds of treatments. Hi, Julie. How's it going in New York? Can you ask a doctor for hydroxychloroquine treatment? Yeah, you can. Most of them will be giving. I'm seeing it being used routinely now in people that are hospitalized, so we'll see. And again, we have to, I noticed the drug company that manufactures it has been giving it away now for free. So they're ramping up manufacture and they're giving it for free in large quantities. What's the thoughts on the UK and how they're handling things? I actually admired their bravado at wanting to just get herd immunity out of the way, but not so realistic given how serious, how ill people get, and not so realistic in terms of your surrounding neighbors. They wouldn't like that in other countries. Have I heard of hydroxychloroquine being out? I've heard of concerns about it being out, but not actually being out. Stay inside, sure. Thoughts on K-Rock firing? Kevin, yeah, you guys, that was sad. I left a message for Kevin, and I talked to Dave, the King of Mexico. But that is radio. Radio changes like that. That is just how radio works. When I stopped my job at KBC, finished my shift, was brought in an office and told, "That's it. That's the end of it." Happens all the time in radio, and it's crazy when it happens after 30 years. It seems sort of weird and abrupt, but that's just how radio operates.
Probably because they've had such response, by leaving somebody on the air for a week. So they might as well just go, boop, you're out.
What's that?
You take the platform away.
Right. They're always, but radio just has a culture of that, of these sudden, when you fire, they don't want people mouthing off on the radio, after they've already been fired. That happens, but it's more, that's just how they do it on radio. Everyone's always escorted out. Locks are always changed. It's just very strange. Mark, you're saying Dr. Fauci was banned from the press conference. I didn't hear that he was banned from the press conference. I believe he's busy. And we should continue to listen to him. Social distancing is the wrong term for physical distancing. I agree. It's physical and social distancing are the same. My boyfriend works at a chemical plant. Should he quit his job? I have water immune system due to autoimmune disorder. Yeah. Weaker immune system. He shouldn't be forced to go to work if he is non-essential services. And even then, people are being given options to stay home. So we'll see. Does ozone generators? I don't know about that. You're moving fast here. So we're still saying the direction. I'm still saying that the press has grotesquely focused on doomsday scenarios that has horribly, horribly affected the public. Horribly, irresponsibly, reprehensibly. It has been that way from the beginning, which is why I've told everybody 1,000 times a day, listen to the CDC, listen to Dr. Fauci, do not listen to the press. New York Times was running doomsday epidemiology not even a week ago, 5 days ago. That's irresponsible. That's irresponsible. We are making massive changes that are going to have marked changes in the epidemiological surge, and good. If we overdo it, fine. We've all decided collectively to be a part of this, and that's what we're going to do.
How did you feel about Cuomo saying that many people will get it and few will die?
I thought that was accurate. I think he was basing that on the hydroxychloroquine data, and that everyone is counting on that to not just reduce the death rate, the fatality rate, but also reduce the hospitalization rate. And if those two things happen, we got this thing.
How about sending young people, healthy people back to work and still isolating the people that would be?
I think that's hard to do. I don't quite know how they're going to do that. I think temperature monitoring is going to be a key part of that. And I think social distancing is going to have to continue to be practiced, but we'll see. Yes, if the Tony or above team, yes, if the Plaquenil azithromycin combo is proven to be efficacious, it's going to change the whole landscape. What about, wait. What about people who are testing positive who are not staying home? That group, Carrie, I don't know who that is. That would be a terribly irresponsible person. That is sort of assaultive behavior, frankly. So I don't know anybody who's testing positive who is not following directions of the medical team. Thank you, Jan. Appreciate it. You guys are going to be very busy soon, because I know, at least locally, they are really ramping up testing. And pretty soon they're going to be not just diagnostic testing, but broader, more suspicious cases testing, so we can really see where we are. Heard that hydroxychloroquine is causing issue for patients. I'd like to hear what, because I've been hearing otherwise, except for really bizarre rumors that show up on this thread. What government scandal is being hidden by this mass hysteria? I think we got other things to worry about. Can you get the virus twice? No, for the third time in this stream. I will say that it appears to be recurrences that happen, not reinfections. Natalie said it's going to be a game changer. I would agree with you, at least if we have the evidence of what's going on. Is the chloroquine the reason the German mortality rate is so low? The drug is made by a German company. Interesting. I don't know, but I would not be surprised if that were true. Could the virus have been here a month ago? Yes, it could have been, but 99% of people who think they had it did not have it. Only 10% of people with highly suspicious symptoms are testing positive. You have to remember this. Right now, you have to be admitted to an ICU or have pneumonia and evidence of contact and travel or highly suspicious symptomatology and evidence, specific evidence of exposure. You get tested. And even with that population being the only people being tested, only 10% are turning up positive. So the idea that, no, they're on forwards. The headphones are on forward. They're telling me they're on backwards.
I know, I was wondering too.
Yeah. The notion that the people who think they may have had it, are going to be even 10%. No, impossible. It's going to be lower than 10%. So that means a very few percentage of people that actually think they had it. Now, it's been around since December, so somebody's going to have had it. That's for sure. Take 400 milligrams of hydroxychloroquine a day for the lupus. Yeah, so that is actually, I believe, twice the prophylactic dose right now, so you should be covered. You're taking 2 tablets of the 200 milligram hydroxychloroquine Plaquenil for your lupus syndrome. You would be interesting to see if you have a prophylactic effect, won't it?
Ask him if he has any side effects.
Well, whoever that it was that said you're on the Plaquenil twice a day or 400 milligrams a day, are you having any side effects from the medicine? There can be a little nausea sometimes. Please, everybody, stop asking me if you can get it again. I've answered that now 3 times and now 4 times. No, it's recurrences that we think we're seeing.
It's like the flu, right? Once you get the flu, you don't get it for a long time.
You don't get that flu. You don't get that flu for a long time. But the flu changes itself. That's how it survives. The flu, drifts. It drifts its genetic structures to try to outwit your immune system and survive. Let's see. Do you see her?
What, the lupus person?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't look.
Colchicine is being studied in Montreal. Yeah, I could see where colchicine could affect the big inflammatory cascade that we see with the virus. But it's, I think, a better idea to reduce the viral production. I mean, I think that's getting right to more to the heart of the matter. No, do not take 10 to 12 Benadryls. Absolutely not.
Oh, it was Natalia. So let's go down and see.
Yeah, if you're on Humira and you have symptoms, speak to your doctor immediately. So the question here is, do I think a large percentage of the population the virus is actually called SARS coronavirus 2. The COVID-19 is the illness caused by SARS coronavirus 2. So the question is, could there have been previous infection with SARS coronavirus 2 that we don't know about yet? The answer is yes, but I'm not expecting that to have been a big number.
Somebody gave you a piece of their mind because you didn't say it was because it was in 2019.
What wasn't?
It was called COVID-19 because it started in 2019.
Yes, that's the name of the illness, but it's not SARS coronavirus 2, which is the virus.
But that's not why they call it that. Is it because it started in 2019?
Yes. Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, you didn't say that.
I know I didn't. I just said it's the illness called COVID-19. So somebody's talking about Paul Offit, who is a very fine virologist. And there are a lot of virologists. There's a lot of pushback now on our massive response by people that are smart and work in the world of infectious diseases. So it's going to be an interesting balancing act now between the people that think we've had too much of an overreaction and people that think we're underreacting or doing it just right. And again, trying to thread that needle of not destroying a country and allowing people to survive this whole thing and not get particularly sick and get the risk population properly maintained. It's going to be an interesting putt. It really is. The next week, next 10 days or so, it's going to be, I don't know how they manage that, but I do think by Friday, if we're in the sort of 60,000 case range and we have evidence of hydroxychloroquine working, we're going to be in pretty good shape. Pretty, as Larry David was saying, pretty good shape. Stop it.
So will it help with the flu as well?
No, flu, it's Tamiflu.
That was Joshua's question.
Yeah, Tamiflu.
So interesting.
What's interesting?
Just these drugs that can attack viruses. How you figure it out.
Well, when I started training, there were no antivirals whatsoever. Viruses were somewhat of a mystery, and the HIV epidemic put the research into viruses into high gear. Dr. Fauci was at the epicenter of all that, and he was predicting 10 million dead, if I recall right, in the middle of the AIDS epidemic. And we ended up at the end of the sort of the window he was looking at with about 150,000. So that turned out much, much, much better than everyone thought, largely because of the medical system flexing and innovating. It turned this thing that was an absolute death sentence into a chronic illness. And I can't tell you how horrible that period was. I was taking care of AIDS patients hand over fist, and they're not here to tell the dark tale of what that was like. It was terrible.
Ice baths.
Yeah, ice baths. Well, what about ice baths?
Somebody said ice baths till the symptoms full blown. I don't know what that means.
No.
You said there was something about taking cold showers.
Well, this sort of Wim Hof thing of exposing yourself to your system to these shocks may increase your immune function. I actually saw a conference this morning that was kind of advocating for that. Now, if you have other medical illnesses, no, don't do this.
And what did I say?
You said ice baths, which I think is...
No, what did I say after you said take a cold shower?
You said you weren't going to do that.
Yeah.
You said you're taking warm showers.
Yeah.
That's all right. This is very funny. If that's Miss Susan, how do you want me to refer to you? You don't like being called producer? They want to know if you miss a dose of Dr. Drew, should you double a dose? That's pretty funny. Difference between recurrence and reinfection means you got a whole new infection. Reinfection. Recurrence means you got better, but didn't get all the way better, and it came back. So that's a recurrence. This is going to end when we have a vaccine. Well, sure. But by the time we have the vaccine, we may have some degree of herd immunity. So it's going to be difficult to say which gets there first. That's another interesting question.
It's always a poop question.
Yeah, I know. I think that's all Christina's people from After Dark.
And by the way, if you don't like me talking, too bad. For all my non-fans out there.
I'm talking to a patient right now who had this thing. How many since symptoms resolved? One second here.
What do you use when
Should
you
be
run
3
out of
days
shampoo?
at least.
Oh.
What about shampoo?
What do you use when you run out of shampoo?
Soap.
Yeah. Dove.
Yeah.
Get a bar of soap, rub it on your head.
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting tired? You got to get off to
I do, to Fox 11. Tomorrow we can do this.
Week 3, which will be taping from your house tomorrow. I don't
Yeah,
know how we're
interesting.
going to set that up. I wonder if they'll send you a camera crew or not.
I wouldn't think so. It's probably going to be sort of a Skype type thing or Zoom or something.
Well, we kind of figured that out, so hopefully we'll be able to do
So have I heard here in Santa Cruz they're saying it's aerosolized? Yes, it is proven to be aerosolized, but the prominent means of transmission still seems to be person to person without the aerosol. However, I am saying that where this aerosol, which lasts about 2 hours, and the virus survives in that aerosol for up to 2 hours, is a significant problem, is in elevators, closed spaces. So please pay attention. I think one of the things we should have thought through much more carefully is the elevator as a unit of transmission for this illness. I really think that's one of the things that's going to come out of this. It may take us a while to figure that out, but don't be surprised when you hear that the elevator was the main source of what went down in New York City. And nobody thought about that. And why they don't, I can't believe it.
No.
It's hard to believe, right?
You coughed in the elevator when we were leaving New York, and I told you not to cough in the elevator. And
I don't know the meaning of that statement.
And the elevator guy said, I don't care. I didn't hear it. I mean, we weren't really thinking like that. I'm a germaphobe. That's me. But you just cough all the time. You didn't have it. But
Take the stairs, everybody.
Yeah. Well, we're on the 27th floor with luggage. There's no way I'm taking.
No, it's right. So we should be wearing a mask in the elevator. So that's another piece we should be thinking about. Now, I don't know how we would have done that when we had the mask shortages early on. So maybe it's a moot point.
Dustin just asked if I'm single.
Mm-hmm. Is a N95 mask overkill for work? Well, now that we have adequate amounts and we can reuse them, if you feel more comfortable wearing them at work, then go ahead. Go ahead. I have no problem with that. Yes, LC, about Michael Osterholm. I've read that article, and I think his model is what people will follow going forward when we decide to open up certain localities. It's not going to be everywhere that's going to come off of lockdown, but some areas are. What about the HIV drug and hydroxychloroquine, as well as the Ebola drug and with or without hydroxychloroquine? So these are all some of the studies that are being done out there. And obviously those are for the more ill. So Kevin Rooney says that Howard Stern was very pessimistic today, which is sad to hear. I know this whole thing freaked him out very, very badly. I'd heard that. So, yeah.
It must be horrible for him.
Well, he's living in the middle of it.
See a city like that, it's just...
Yeah. Somebody wants a prediction for peak cases. Look, we're not looking for a peak. We're looking for a flattening in the rate of change. No significant rate of increase in number of doses, and a flattening of the recurrences, and maybe even a downturn of the daily rates. That's what we're looking for, not some sort of peak. And I would say by the end of the week, we should know where we are. Friday, we should know where we are. Right now, this is the end of the day on Monday, and we are at 43,000 cases, according to the Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Resource Center. And that's more than I would have liked today. I was imagining it more like 30,000. I thought 30,000 would be good, which probably means that Friday is going to be not quite as good, maybe up towards 80,000 and not 60,000. But it's not 60 million as was predicted. It's not 60 million. So we are doing a pretty good job of staying in the tens of thousands. That's in a country that with 300 million people, that is a pretty substantial lockdown of the transmission. Even if you assume by a factor of 3, let's say there are 3 times more people out there that have it and haven't been tested, you're still doing very, very, very well. Okay, so...
Could you mention, I just texted you the COVID-19 emergency relief for the New York victims of domestic violence.
Oh, yeah.
GoFundMe that our daughter Paulina is working with in New York City.
Yeah, let me talk about these people that they're the largest provider of shelter for victims of domestic violence, homelessness, homeless families, adults with developmental disabilities. Largest provider in the United States. They're called the Urban Resource Institute. So if you want to do something, check them out. We have a donate, is it a GoFundMe site?
Yeah, just go to DrDrew.com/URINYC.
Right, it's URINYC. That's again, DrDrew.com/URINYC.
Yes.
And you can look at their stuff there and be a part of the GoFundMe that they're trying to get through this current crisis.
They need $100,000. So I felt very comforted by watching Governor Cuomo today.
He did a good job, didn't he?
I felt like he was saying that he felt that we're going to have this under control.
Yep.
Young people can go back to work, and that he said, a lot of people get it, but a very small percentage will die. So that made me feel good. Like maybe we're going to get let out into society and open restaurants.
Oh no! I don't know about restaurants. It's going to be a little while for that.
Restaurants are going to have a hard time, but we have to help these employers. Need to be creative, and build their businesses around.
And by the way, jump all over your senators and Congress people, because they are dragging their feet on solving the pushing through this package to help people through these economic times. The fact that they're playing politics at a time like this, I find reprehensible. The emperor truly has no clothes. If this is a time for them to be thinking about ideology, they've got to be kidding me. Just help the people of America. For God's sakes, that is your job. Job one at a crisis like this. Do not drag your feet. Okay.
And be creative with your work. If you used to work in a restaurant, maybe go help with the delivery services or takeout services. There must be people that everybody can go out and try to figure out a new way to make money. I mean, I think New York is going to need to rethink the way they run their businesses and help.
Well, it's going to change a lot of things, but it's not going to end. It's not going to end, this week. It's going to be maybe next week, and it's going to be a slow rollout, I suspect. So let's prepare for that. Let's look forward to positive outcomes. Let's look forward to the hydroxychloroquine having the benefits that we think we're seeing. Let's hopefully that stands up to scientific scrutiny. And we will be here again tomorrow, right? Here tomorrow?
I suppose so.
Okay.
If you want.
So as I leave, we're at 43,000 cases, and that's if the doubling time of that is 5-6 days, not bad. Because remember, a lot of the sudden run up lately has been the result of more widespread testing and the backlog of testing coming in, and we are primarily testing people that are highly suspect of having the condition. All right, we appreciate you joining us here today and being around on the Restream. Luke, 100,000 by Friday. You could be right. Could be. Again, that wouldn't be a terrible number. I originally was saying that was a number I would look forward to as a good number. I modified it because we were doing so well. But let's see. Let's see how it turns out. And so again, I want to thank our friends at Blue Microphone. I want to thank our friends that make the needle destruction device. Probably that kind of stuff is more important than ever. The Sand Mini, please pay attention to these things now. We still have needle problem in this country, and this is a device that takes care of it and it incinerates the needles. And I just think it's a great device. And of course, our friends at Hydrolite. Well, somebody said they're sold out. Somebody said they're having trouble buying it. Hydrolite is the rehydration product you need to have around if you get sick, and even can help you prepare, be properly hydrated so you don't get sick. But this is like the equivalent IV rehydration. So I strongly urge people, if they get any of the illnesses that are flying around, whether it's influenza or upper respiratory infection or coronavirus, stay hydrated. That's not been really talked about enough. And Hydrolite's a great way to do that. So, all right, that's my alarm to get out of here. I got to go do some more stuff. And
thank you for supporting our sponsors and our show.
Thank you, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. I am so grateful for our friends at Blue Microphones. Not only have they completely changed what our show sounds like, they've given me headphones so I can monitor things better. This is the mic for millions of creative people, and now I know why. I'm so grateful for them completely changing the quality of our audio. You'll find Blue mics like Yeti and the Mouse, which we're using here, both in pro studios and home studios, literally all over the world. Their popular Yeti caster is a Blue Yeti microphone, plus a boom arm system that's behind many of your favorite podcasts. I run into them all the time, and now I know why. If you've ever thought about creating your own podcast or YouTube channel, Blue can make you sound and look great. Just visit bluemic.com and click Get Started, and you can start telling your story.